Welcome everyone, my name is Rajal and today we're going to take a look at what we know about Eurovision 2023 so far as of February. Now, before you ask, no, I did not forget about this series. I've been doing that new review and preview series, and in fact, I recorded a new episode of that just before recording this. So, yeah, no, I didn't forget about it. I've been running the blog as well, so yeah, I was just waiting mostly for Super Saturday to happen, and then I was gonna do a video. So here we are. This is what we know about Eurovision 2023 as of February. We are just about we're less than 3 months away now. Actually, I think. Well, actually, we are pretty much exactly 3 months away, because today is it's the 12th, and the final takes place on the 13th. While the semis take place on the 9th and 11th. Um, we've known for months now that we're gonna have Liverpool hosts the contest on behalf of Ukraine. We still don't know the hosts of the event yet. I'm not even gonna go through this bidding phase thing. You can just read about it yourself. Um, well, we got this, of course. I talked about it many times, but we also got the slogan, which it was shown here: "United by Music." Um, I can't remember the name of the typeface, but apparently it's one that was used on old street signs in Liverpool, which is really cool. Um, so yeah, like I said earlier, we don't know exactly who the hosts will be yet. Um, but we do know that there will be at least one host from Ukraine. It might just be one. It might be two. I reported on the potential names in my blog post. Um, I had written down two of them. But now it seems like there might just be one. We don't know for sure. In the meantime, we also have the stage design, which it says here that we're based on the principles of togetherness, celebration, and community, taking inspiration from a wide hug and yada 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 yada. A lot of LEDs. It was designed by the person who also designed the stage for the American Song Contest, so that's kind of cool. Um, and also this person, Herman Nanov. I said German, but yeah, you get it. It's a pretty similar name. Herman Nanov said in an interview, he's kind of Ukrainian director for Eurovision 2023. He says there's gonna be multiple Ukrainian artists present in Eurovision 2023. Um, most of which will be Eurovision connected, but some are speculating that the Hard Kiss, which is a Ukrainian group who were in Vidbeer 2016. They might be involved as well, because their lead singer Julia Sanina was in the trailer video that was shown at the allocation draw. And speaking of the allocation draw, it took place at the end of January. We had these pots, and I'm not gonna go for the entries just yet, but I will say, I think we got Norway, Sweden, and Finland in the same semifinal, while we also got Greece and Cyprus in the same semifinal. So that's interesting. And oh yeah, Moldova and Romania are in different semifinals, as are the Netherlands and Belgium, and also Armenia and Azerbaijan. So yeah, that's interesting. And the semifinal allocation draw was hosted by AJ Adodu, I think. Yeah, AJ Adodu and Rylan. They hosted some other shows together before. Rylan's the one of the semifinal commentators, and AJ presented the UK's points in Turin. Um, of course, which was to Cornelia, but whatever. So yeah, it took place on the 31st last month. I think it was 31st or 30th, whatever. You get it. And if you ask me, I think it was a very smooth show. They finished in 30 minutes, but there was still enough in there to make it entertaining. And yeah, but beyond that, I also kind of want to mention that there are voting changes. I talked about this before, but basically, the rest of the world can vote. Their points will add up to the same as one televote, so basically, 58 points. Um, but we still don't have the list of eligible countries. Apparently, we're supposed to get that in due course, but we haven't gotten anything yet. Um, and also, as mentioned here, the entries are gonna permit pre-recorded backing vocals, but of course, the live vocal has to be live. So yeah, there's that, and there's also one thing I forgot to talk about. Um, I'm not sure if it's mentioned here, but basically, uh, the BBC and the Ukrainian broadcaster agreed on several things, one of which is to use Ukrainian locations as postcards. So it's very likely that the postcards will be filmed in front of green screens, but hopefully they will be better than the ones that we saw in Turin because those were just not good. Anyway, yeah, as mentioned here, the slogan is "United by Music," a pretty basic one, but don't fix what ain't broken. Um, so yeah, that's the basic stuff that you might need to know. The postcards, yada yada. The filming will apparently take place in March and April. Again, I'm thinking it's probably just gonna be a green screen because it's not exactly safe to transport, you know, 37 artists to Ukraine, is it? Or I guess 36, but you get it. So, yeah, with that said, let's move on to the participating countries. We don't have the running order yet, but we do have the semifinal split and also the half split. So, which countries are going to perform in each half. So, I can talk about this, but I will just go through it one by one. So let's get into it. In the first semifinal, we have Croatia, who yesterday, as of recording this, selected Let's Free with their song Mama Sh, with the which is in Croatian. Um, nominally they did, and in fact, the Eurovision Twitter account tweeted about it. But here's a plot twist. It's been, gosh, I don't know, more than 12 hours since this entry won the Croatian national final, and they still haven't appeared on the Eurovision.tv website, despite being announced by the Eurovision Twitter account. And also, actually, I think having a blog post on the Eurovision.tv website, which is weird. So some people are speculating they might get disqualified. Now, I don't know about that, but yeah, something's going on clearly because everyone else has been updated on the Eurovision.tv website, other than Marco Mengoni. Although, as we're recording this, he literally just confirmed participation like 5 minutes ago. But we'll get to Italy later. With Ireland, they had their national final Euro song, and the winner was Wild Youth with the song "We Are One." Um, the initial favorite was Connolly. However, she came 2 points below Wild Youth, who are pretty popular in Ireland, actually, from what I've heard. Um, so yeah, Wild Youth will be representing Ireland with the song "We Are One." Although I have heard they might be doing a little bit of a revamp, so we'll see what happens. But back to national finals that happened yesterday. We also had Supernova happen yesterday, which is the Latvian national final, and the winner was Southern Lights with the song Aya. If you're wondering what Aya means, it's simply one of those lullaby sounds that moms might traditionally sing to their children to get them to sleep. So that's now two Eurovision 2023 songs relating to lullabies. So that's interesting. What's also interesting is that This is the first Latvian entry since 2004 to have any substantial amount of Latvian language lyrics in it. Yeah, the last
Because
entry that was partly or fully in Latvian was in 2004. I haven't watched that one, so I don't know what it's like. But since then, they have sent pretty much exclusively English songs up till this year. Where the last verse of the song "Aya" is in Latvian. Like I said in the review and preview video, don't get your hopes up. Most of the song is still in English, but it's nice that they at least added one little Latvian verse, which sounds very nice. So yeah, with that said, let's move on to Malta, who have selected through the national final MESC the artist named The Busker, which, despite the name, is actually Free People, I think, with the song Dance Our Own Party. Now, I haven't listened to the song, I haven't even watched MESC, to be honest with you, so no comment, but I will say the favorite actually was Brooke, or Brooke Berg is her full name, I think. Um, she was the favorite with the song Checkmate, however, the Busker just seemed to be more popular with the Maltese public. So yeah, there's that. So the Busker will now be representing Malta in Eurovision 2023 in the first semifinal in the first half. Also in the first half, we have Norway with Alessandra, full name Alessandra Mele, with the song Queen of Kings, which is in English, and you can see there's a little bit of an annotation here. As you can see, it scrolled me all the way down, but yeah, as you can see, there are several phrases in Italian and an expression in Latin. Now, why would there be Italian in Norwegian entry, right? Well, the reason is that Alessandra Mele is actually from Italy. See? Alessandra Mele. Right. She's actually from Italy, and in fact, I remember um, I actually talked about this before, but in the postcard of MGP, which is the Norwegian selection, she actually swore in Italian, which was hilarious. So yeah, there's that. After that, we also have Portugal. Um, we don't know much yet, except for the running order of the semifinals. We also have the artists and the songs, obviously, but yeah, we have that. We recently got the running order of the semifinals, and I think one thing that's kind of funny is that there are four favorites, and it just so happens that all four favorites were placed either in the fifth slot or the seventh slot of each semifinal. So if you go to check the running order, you'll find in the fifth slots and the seventh slots, it's the four big favorites that have accumulated the most views on YouTube so far. So yeah, there's that. But other than that, we don't really know much else. There's no one like runaway favorite or anything. I think all four of these are kind of equally favored by the Portuguese public, but we'll have to see what happens. You know, last year, um, Mauro was like the clear favorite. Some people liked other entries, but Mauro had like many more streams than like any other participant. So it was kind of clear that Mauro was gonna win, and I didn't mind one bit. With that said, let's move on to Serbia, the last country in the first half of the first semifinal, which will be having their national final, Pesma za Eurovision 2023, which will take place in early March. The semifinals will be taking place on the 1st and 2nd, while the final will take place on the 4th. Now, I also forgot to mention this Portugal, but they're having their national final, Festival da Canção. And like I mentioned, there are two semifinals. I can't remember when exactly now, but they're having their final on the 11th, which is pretty much like the last Saturday before all broadcasters have to submit their songs, finalize their songs for the final um, presentation and all that. I think the deadline is the 15th. So yeah, um, yeah, the Portuguese national final is happening on the 11th, while the Serbian one is 1 week earlier. So moving on to the second half, we have Azerbaijan, who are probably going to be announcing their act this month. and it's just been reported today. Well, actually, we've known the five names on the short list for a while now, and it's just been reported today that for the first time since 2008, which is when they debuted, um, Azerbaijan is going to be represented by an actual locally written entry. All five names in the shortlist have apparently written all their songs in Azerbaijan instead of going to Sweden or Switzerland or the Netherlands or whatever. Um, so yeah, that's pretty significant if you ask me. I think they're starting to kind of change their approach. After realizing it might not work now to just buy songs from Sweden. So yeah, there's going for a more local approach, which I do appreciate. I don't know if they're gonna have Azerbaijani lyrics in their songs, but we'll see what happens. With that said, let's move on to the Czech Republic, or rather, Czechia. You see, presented as Czechia. Now, I already talked about this on the national finals review and preview video, but basically, it took like 3 days for the official Eurovision account to announce that Vesna would represent Czechia with the song "My Sister's Crown." Many people were worried that it was gonna get like disqualified because of the slightly political nature of the lyrics. Um, but as it turns out, they're just rebranding to Czechia, and as I also mentioned in the national finals video, Czechia is indeed the preferred name by the Czech government. They prefer Czechia over Czech Republic, and in reality, most other languages now refer to Czechia as Czechia anyway, and English is really kind of the odd one out. So, yeah, it's still written as Czech Republic here, but officially on the Eurovision.tv website, it's gonna be Czechia, and when presented in the semifinal screens, it's gonna be Czechia, and most likely when they qualify, it will be called out. The next qualifier is Czechia as opposed to the Czech Republic. So there's that. And in fact, this is one of the favorites to win right now. Actually, it's a very dramatic song. It's also got a lot of languages: English, Ukrainian, Czech, and Bulgarian. You know, there's some I guess verses in English, some parts in Czech as well, but mostly it's the intro that's in Czech. Um, the chorus is in Ukrainian, and there's a rap bit in the middle that's in Bulgarian, which is very nice. So yeah, Czech Republic favorite to win. Who would have thought? Right. With that said, let's move on to Finland. Right, with Finland, we have the national final UMK, full name Uuden Musiikin Kilpailu, which means selection contest for new music or something like that. Anyways, they're having their national final on the 25th this month, which will consist of I think 7 entries, and right now the huge favorite is Garia with the song Cha Cha Cha. Um, it's a very different song. If you haven't listened to it, I highly suggest you go check it out. And it's such a favorite to the point that Finland is now third in the Eurovision 2023 winning odds. Um, the Czech Republic is by comparison fifth. So yeah, that's really huge, and it's a very unique song, whether you like it or not. You can like it or hate it, but it's not gonna leave you indifferent. Well, you can say that for Croatia's entry as well, but I think more people edge on not liking it than liking it because it's just very radical. Let's just say that. So yeah, okay. Back to Finland though. Gadia are kind of the huge favorites, although some other tracks have also made huge successes in streaming. Yli Voimainen by Kuma, that has done very well. And also, I think Hoidamut by Benjamin, that was also doing very well. But mainly the favorite is Garia. I think in the UMK odds, he's like 60 something percent odds winning, which is insane. So yeah, that's Finland. I think if slash when Garia wins UMK, Finland is definitely one to look out for in Eurovision 2023. So with that said, let's move on to Israel. We don't know much about Israel really. We know that they selected Nora Kirel, who's a huge pop star in Israel. Her song is named Unicorn, and it's mostly in English, although as written here, it contains some words in Hebrew. Um, the song itself actually isn't out. We only know the name, but we do know that the song will be out, I believe, on the 8th of March, which is also the same release date for another Eurovision song. So I'll get back to that later. But for now, let's move on to Moldova, which is having their national final, which is actually renamed Etapa Națională. Before they had, I think last year it was called Selecție Națională, the same one as the Romanian one. And then before that they had O Melodie pentru Europa. I think that was the name of it. And yeah, this year is called Etapa Națională, and they've also changed their head of delegation. I can't remember her name. I think it's Daria Cappuccino or something like that. So yeah, they changed their head of delegation. And right now there are 10 candidates in the national final, but most people expect that one of the three returning acts will win the whole thing. The three returning acts being Aliona Moon from Moldova 2013 with Ormie, Sunstroke Project, which I don't need to explain, it's the Epic Sax guy, and also Pasha Parfeni, who was either 2012 or 2014, I think, Moldovan representative. So I'll probably edit it in right here. So yeah, Aliona Moon, Sunstroke Project, and Pasha Parfeni. My personal favorite right now is Pasha Parfeni, although some other people have different preferences. But regardless, people generally do expect that one of these three will win. So we will probably get another returning act. Return to Eurovision for Moldova. So we'll see what happens. And in the meantime, let's move on to the Netherlands, where we don't have much, tentatively. But this is the Wikipedia page, and it doesn't include rumors. And I know some of the rumors, so let's get it out. What we do know for sure is that Mia Nicolai and Dion Cooper will be representing the Netherlands. Their song was co-written by Duncan Lawrence and also someone else that I once again cannot remember. And their song is allegedly named Chasing Highs. And also allegedly the song will be released in early March. So I guess if you care about the entry, that's a date to look out for, I suppose. And speaking of March, Sweden is also selecting their representative in March with the huge national final Melodifestivalen. Although this year is not as huge as usual because a lot of the songs have been rated kind of mid by most people. Not just Eurofans, mind you, even locals have not been as enthusiastic in watching the shows as before. So yeah, maybe Sweden's not going for a next win this year, but I'm pretty sure they will still qualify. So yeah, with that said, let's move on to Switzerland, which we have nothing to go off of because the last known news we had about Switzerland was in November. And we can probably expect some news about the representative sometime around early March, going by past precedent. But we don't know anything pretty much for Switzerland. They are super secretive about the process. So yeah, we'll see what happens with them. But for now, let's move on to semifinal 2. With semifinal 2, let's start with the first half, where we have Armenia with the song, well, not with the song, with the artist named Brunette. Now, it's been reported in Armenian media that her song will be a kind of R&B song, and I heard a little snippet of what was allegedly a leak from her song, and it sounded super promising. So don't take it from me, but expect good things from Armenia this year. Let's move on to something not as good. Okay, no offense, but yeah. Next up, we have Belgium, um, who had their national final in mid January, and the winner, even quite unexpectedly, even to himself, was Gustav with the song "Because of You." Now, Gustav is not new to Eurovision. He was a backing vocalist for Senek, who was the 2018 representative, I think. Um, and he was also the vocal coach for Hooverphonic, who represented Belgium in 2021. So he's not new to Eurovision, but this is his first time as kind of the artist as opposed to kind of the supporting team. Yeah, so he's got a track named "Because of You," and uh, again, no offense, but a lot of people have compared it to the Subway Surfers theme song. If you know how that sounds, you can probably already kind of imagine what "Because of You" sounds like. So, yeah, there's that. But for now, let's move on to Cyprus, where Andrew Lambrou will represent them. Andrew Lambrou is Australian actually, but he is of Cypriot Greek origin, and he was in the Australian national final last year, although he didn't do quite so well. This year he is going to Sweden for help, basically. His song will be co-written by Swedes. Apparently, people who have listened to the leaks said that it's giving them kind of Imagine Dragons vibes. So if you're a fan of Imagine Dragons, you can watch out for that. But another leak suggests that Andrew Lambrou's song will be called "Breaking a Broken Heart," which, given the next entry, is kind of funny. But yeah, it's apparently going to be named "Breaking My Broken Heart." So, and it's allegedly going to be in kind of Imagine Dragons style. So yeah, look out for that if you're interested. But let's move on to Denmark, who have selected for their national final that was held yesterday. Um, a singer named Riley, and I've confirmed that is the pronunciation. It's not Rayleigh, it's Riley. With the song "Breaking My Heart." It's in English, but actually Riley himself is actually from the Faroe Islands, which is very interesting. So I'm pretty sure he is the first Faroese representative of Denmark at Eurovision. So that's interesting. You can say what you want about the song, but that has to be admitted. It is interesting that we have someone from the Faroe Islands doing Eurovision. So with that said, let's move on to Estonia, where they have selected Alika with the song "Bridges" at their national final, Eesti yesterday. Yeah, as I said earlier, I'm actually recording this just straight after Super Saturday. So, yeah, the national final for Estonia took place yesterday, and many people expected it to be a two-horse race between Alika and Ollie, who sang a kind of Nickelback type pop rock song named Venom. And ultimately, because there were two pop rock songs in a free artist super final, Alika basically got the non pop rock vote, and so Alika won the national final. She's also kind of popular because she recently won an Idol show or something like that. So yeah, she will be singing the song "Bridges," which was actually co-written by Wouter Hardy, who also co-wrote Arcade and To l'Univers by John Steers. So yeah, a lot of Eurovision credentials there, and Alika has a really, really strong voice. So at this point, I would say Alika is a pretty safe qualifier. So yeah, with that said, let's move on to Greece, who are not only in the same semifinal but also in the same half as Cyprus. Now, boy, there's a bit of drama here. A while ago, they announced Victor Vernikos with the song "What They Say," as kind of the Greek entry for Eurovision 2023. But, however, I just said but however, but whatever. However, there are some things going on with the selection that might even cause Greece to withdraw from Eurovision 2023. Um, See, there were three finalists basically. Initially, there were seven, but it was narrowed down to three. Um, Basically, Victor Vernicos, of course. Also, a certain Melissa Mantzoukas with the song "Liar," and also a duo named Antonia Kawuri and someone else I can't remember with their song named "Shout Out." However, what was weird was that um, it's suspected that the jury from the Greek broadcaster did not want to select "Liar" by Melissa Mantzoukas because the public had voted it as their favorite. Um, and then they actually gave maximum points to Shout Out, despite it being one, a bad song, or as many called it, an iCarly intro, and two, withdrawn. Actually, Antonia Kawuri confirmed on a live interview that they had actually withdrawn the entry, but despite that, the internal jury ignored that and still voted it as the highest among the three entries. And as you might expect, "Liar" by Melissa Mantzoukas was rated the lowest, and actually, they initially promised a kind of a 50.6 televote, 49.4% jury type split, but in the end it came out more like 45-55, as in 45 televote, because um, the jury actually just gave more points than were permitted. So yeah, there's a huge mess here, but that's basically how I understand it. And now Melissa Mantzoukas is basically suing the Greek broadcaster for basically rigging this election. And if this legal action actually takes place, then it could take several months. And because the selection process isn't actually finalized yet, um, it could actually lead to Greece having to withdraw just to deal with this legal situation. So, yeah, a lot of drama going on with Greece. But meanwhile, it's been reported that Victor Vernicos is finalizing his song. Well, good luck with that. But in the meantime, let's move on to Iceland, who are having their national final Söngvakeppnin, which starts next Saturday. On the I think 19th, this month, and the final will take place on the 4th. Now, I don't really have much to say about this because, for one, I haven't listened to the songs myself, and secondly, I've been told the songs really aren't that good this year. And what I can say though is that in the semifinal, all artists have to sing the Icelandic language version of their track, while in the final they can choose to either sing it in Icelandic or in English. So yeah, there's that. And next, let's move on to Romania, who have selected again through a national final from yesterday. Um, Theodore Andre, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's not Theodore, it's Theodore. Theodore Andre with the song Dejete, Off and On, which is a kind of semi R&B track, I guess, which is both in Romanian and in English, which is very interesting. It was a very, like I said in my national finals video, it wasn't really even sensual. It was just outright sexual. As are the lyrics. I think one line goes like "step on me," and then the other lines was like, yeah, I can't remember exactly, but yeah, some very very like sensual lyrics, and then a very sexual performance. There was like a dress reveal, well, shirt reveal, but you get it. And at the end, he actually takes off his shirt to reveal that he has written on his chest, "Make love, not war." So make it out what you will. A lot of people don't like this, but I'm actually a huge fan of it. He's a great performer. His vocals are on point. So yeah, that's Romania. you can check the performance for yourself to see if you like it or not. But with that said, let's move on to Albania. Now, Albania, like last year, was not the first country to select their entry. This year, the honors go to Ukraine, um, but they were still selecting their entry fairly early on. They eventually, after the national final Festival Ikungus, they settled on Albina and Familia Kelmendi with the song Duye, which is fully in Albanian, specifically in Gag Albanian. Um, and they have confirmed that the song will get a revamp, although there won't be any English because apparently Albina does not speak English. So yeah, there will be a revamp to kind of make the instrumentals better, but yeah, in the meantime, we don't have much, although you can still watch the performance of Duya. It's very different because, I mean, how often do you bring your family onto a Eurovision performance? Am I right? So, yeah, apparently the song is also about like divorced parents or something like that. So yeah, it's also a pretty significant song, although if I'm being honest, I don't really like the sound of it. But with that said, let's move on to Australia, where we have nothing because um they just haven't said anything. The last official message was from November when they said they wouldn't do Australia decides, but rather it would only be an internal selection. And since then, a bunch of names have been rumored, but none of them confirmed. So we hope they'll make an announcement sooner or later. But since November, they have not said a single thing. So, with that said, let's go from Australia to Austria, where they have selected a duo Taya and Selena to represent them in Liverpool. Now, Taya you might recognize as Taya Devi, who was in the Serbian national final in 2020, I think. Um, but this year, if the rumors are correct, they are coming with a very different song. Um, this was like essentially confirmed because if you didn't know about this, there's an account on Twitter called Crystal Ball ESC, who for the most part leaks very accurate information about Eurovision. Well, it's only started last year actually, but has been posting a lot of very accurate information. They've predicted everything from Joker out to all the Melody Festival and participants, and a bunch of others as well, and even all of the Melody Grand Prix Norway um, names. So yeah, it's huge. Well, it's huge at leaking correct information somehow, and recently they leaked the song for Austria basically. If you want to check it out, it's just at Crystal Ball ESC, and it's actually their pinned tweet, so you can't really miss it. I I somehow managed to miss it in the sense that I still haven't listened to the audio, but I have been told it is bizarre. William from Wee Wee Blogs actually uh, apparently was part of the jury in selecting this entry, and he says it's crazy. He says it's absolutely crazy, but it was also consistently at the top of his ranking, and he thinks that it could actually work in a televote only semifinal. But based on what I've read, I still haven't listened to it, but based on what I've read, apparently one of the lines in the lyrics is "Who the hell is Edgar Allan Poe?" And then they just kind of repeat Poe a couple of times. Um, and the song is called Edgar Allan Poe. So think of that what you will, but it already does sound bizarre, does it not? So yeah, with that said, let's move on to Georgia, where they have had their national final, de facto national final, um, The Voice of Georgia, where Iru Hechanovi has been selected to represent Georgia in Eurovision 2023. Now, the Voice of Georgia was a pretty long process. There were other favorites like Lika Siradze, um, and another one I can't remember right now. But there were other favorites, but ultimately Iru Hachinovi won. She performed Rise Like a Phoenix in the semifinal, and then Euphoria in the final. Um, if you don't know who that is, basically she is actually part of the Candy group. Um, and if you don't know Candy, basically that's the Georgian 2011 Junior Eurovision entry with their song Candy Music. You have to remember that. Come on, it's a classic Junior Eurovision song. Candy Music. Yeah. Is a yeah. So Iru is part of that Candy group. And she actually refers to the girls from the group as the Candy Girls, which is fair enough. And also, today actually, well, actually, before we get to that, as you can see here, um, her song will be released in March, although we don't know exactly when. She was given exactly a month after the final of the Voice Georgia to work on her song. Um, and also, she's working on it with Giga Kuhianidze, who is actually the main Georgian Junior Eurovision producer, who's produced classics like ZKB, Candy Music, Mzeo, I think that was 2016 or 2017. And then more recently, Let's Count the Smiles, which was the 2021 entry, and I Believe, the 2022 entry, which was also co-written by, wait for it, Iru Hechinovi. She was one of the lyricists for for the song, and maybe that was kind of foreshadowing. But either way, Iru will be representing Georgia in Eurovision 2023. Now, what I wanted to say later, before, was that I went to listen to an interview that she did on the official Eurovision podcast. She discussed a lot of things, but here's a few that I'm just gonna read off. Eurovision has been her dream since 2011. The Voice Georgia was her first time entering this kind of live vocal competition. 2023 is Giga's first time working on adult Eurovision, Giga being Giga Kuhianidze. Um, and they started working on the song the day after she won The Voice Georgia. And she also wants the song to be very strong, very powerful, and show off her voice and choreo and just mix everything. Um, the interviewer basically asked, would it be a ballad or an upbeat type song? And then she just says, kind of mix everything, whatever that means. And she also wants it to be the best song from Georgia. And also a little bit of kind of behind the scenes. She apparently is studying public relations right now in university, and she had her finals during The Voice Georgia, and she passed all five of her subjects. Um, and also, they did an interview with the head of delegation of Georgia, and here I'm also gonna read out what she said here. Basically, they try to represent some of their more experimental projects and give Europe and other nations a possibility to know a different type of Georgian music. When asked about Junior Eurovision, they say that they don't actually have a special formula, and kind of joked that maybe Georgian kids are better than adults. Um, and the head of delegation also said that qualification will be a big success for the delegation and for the country, and the competition is, not just for participation, and that they've already had a lot of meeting with Iru's team to get the message, and they hope that the message will be liked by many people and that they will be in the final. So that was Georgia. A lot of information, but yeah, I'm really kind of team Iru this year. She has come so far since winning Junior Eurovision in 2011. Her voice is great. Just watch any of her The Voice Georgia performances. She's really good at singing. She's really got that. Um, I dare say star quality. But yeah, so I would keep an eye out on Georgia if I were you, and I would be pretty confident that they would qualify. So, with that said, let's move on to Lithuania. With Lithuania, we are having the national final Pabandom iš naujo, which means let's try again in Lithuanian. Basically, most countries, well, not most countries, a bunch of countries had their national finals end yesterday, again, Super Saturday. But Lithuania are having their final, the grand final of their national final next Saturday, which coincidentally is the only grand final happening next Saturday. So I guess keep an eye out for that. Um, so yeah, that's happening next Saturday. The two clear public favorites, or at least local favorites, appear to be Beatrice with the song "Like a Movie," and also Rumour with the song "So Low." So yeah, I guess because they both got 12 points from both the jury and the televote in the first two heats. Although weirdly, they have not been able to replicate that in the semifinals, but still, these two are kind of the big favorites. The Eurofan favorite is Petunia, who actually got 12 points from the jury in the semifinal, but only 7 points from the public. But regardless, Petunia is kind of the Eurofan favorite. Um, but the Lithuanian favorites are Rutamur and Beatrice. So these two, one of these two will probably represent Lithuania and Liverpool. So let's see what happens. Next up, we have Lithuania's neighboring country, Poland. And we don't know much about Poland except that the long ass national final name is coming back. To be a serce Europy, wybieramy hit na Eurowizję. Um, yeah, that long name is coming back. It was originally just called Krajowe Eliminacja, but that just means kind of national selection or national elimination, I guess. But yeah, they're having that long ass name again. Um, we don't know much except I think in 3 days, as of recording this, they will be announcing the names for the national final. So if you're watching this now, or really if you're watching this at any point before the 15th, just kind of put it down in your calendar if you care. The Polish national finals names will be revealed on the 15th, basically. So yeah, there's that to look forward to, and the national final itself would take place on the 26th, where, as usual, they're gonna have a super final where the top three most voted names will go into a kind of televote only super final. So yeah, there's that to look forward to, I suppose. And with San Marino today, we just got the news of who will be hosting the semifinals for their national selection. Una voce per San Marino. San Marino is a kind of a special Eurovision country because they always have take submissions from everywhere. Like they allow literally anyone from any country to submit songs. So we've had songs from Azerbaijan. We've had songs from Malta. We've had songs from Belgium. Obviously Italy. Um, we even have songs from the U.S. and Mexico. Believe it or not. So, yeah, there's participants from all over the world, basically, or well, all over Europe and North America. Um, so yeah, that's very interesting. But I think one big name to probably look out for is Elettra Lamborghini. She is this huge star in Italy, and but she kind of acknowledged that her song isn't the type of song that the San Remo audience are really into. So she says that if she wants to do Eurovision, she'll go for San Marino. And according to various Italian media sources, she has indeed submitted a song to San Marino. So we'll have to see what happens there. But if anything, and if last year was anything of an indication, then there's a pretty good chance that they might just kind of internally agree to vote Elettra Lamborghini as the highest ranking one. But of course, we'll have to see what happens. Until then, apparently her sister, who she is not on good terms with, is also in the San Marino national final. Ginevra Lamborghini, I think she's called. So yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, that's San Marino. They're having the final on the 25th. Although they're gonna broadcast some pre-recorded semifinals between the 20th and the 24th. So there's that to look forward to. Um, with Slovenia, they usually do their national final EMA, although this year they didn't do that and directly um, internally selected Joker Out. And Joker Out actually said in interviews that they were originally planning to just enter EMA, and then after the Slovene broadcaster saw that they were submitting a song, they just said, "Okay, how about we just cancel the national final and you go to Liverpool?" And they were like, "Whoa, okay." So yeah, Joker Out is a band that will represent Slovenia in Liverpool. Um, their song is named Carpe Diem, which means basically seize the day in Latin, although the song itself is not in Latin, it's in Slovene. Um, so yeah, the song is out now. You can check it out. I think it's very nice indeed. So yeah, there's that. So Slovenia will be in the second half of the second semifinal. With that said, let's move on to the final, where we have the Big Five plus Ukraine. Um, so let's go by alphabetical order. So France, they internally selected La Zaha as their representative. La Zaha is actually Canadian or Quebecois of Moroccan origin, who is apparently a big fan of French culture and French music, and I think she lives in Paris. It has been confirmed that her song will be pretty much entirely in French, and we don't know for sure what her song is named yet. However, there was a screenshot, well, not a screenshot, an Instagram story that she took in the studio one day, and someone saw the name of the track was called Évidemment, which in French means obviously or evidently. Although we don't know if that's necessarily her Eurovision song, but apparently it will be released. Well, it says here on the 19th. So yeah, it says here. Actually, it was announced on a TV show. It'll be on the 19th. So as of recording this, that is exactly 1 week away. So we look forward to that. A lot of people have been hyping her up. If you ask me, her music is kind of mid, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, for 2023, after a departure from quintessential French culture, they're going back to quintessential French culture. Let's move on to Germany now, which is having their national final, Unser Lied for Liverpool, on the 3rd of March. I think actually it's not even broadcast anywhere close to prime time. In fact, it's 10 p.m. or something like that. At least for Spain, it made sense because Spanish people do just generally tend to sleep later, but Germans don't really do that. So I don't know why they put it at like 10 p.m., but whatever. The national final is taking place. I think in Berlin, although I can't remember exactly. It'll be hosted by Barbara Schöneberger, who is pretty much consistently the German spokesperson for Eurovision, and she's almost always hosted the German national finals, and this year is no exception. So we have, I believe, 9 acts in the running, and say what you want about the German national final, but it sure is diverse. There's a K-pop song in there, although the singer is Vietnamese apparently. There's a pop rock song. There's a more metal type rock song. There's 2 songs in the German language, although I think most people would agree one is significantly better than the other. There's a ballad. Well, there's several ballads actually, male ballads, female ballads. There's pop songs. There's kind of dramatic type pop songs. So yeah, it's a very diverse selection. Although the general quality is better than previous years, although maybe not the highest ever. So right now we don't really have a front runner. Actually, oh my god, I completely forgot about this. There is a front runner, and the front runner is bringing kind of almost Celtic pop. Um, is a woman named Patty Gurdy. That's not her real name, but she goes by the artist name Patty Gurdy, and she has this kind of uh, weird instrument where it sounds like a fiddle, but she plays it by turning around a knob at the end of it, and there's no bow or anything. So yeah, it's very unique for sure. The track itself, the message of the song is kind of trite, but um, it is genuinely a bop, and I do suggest you go check it out if you're interested. You know, it's Celtic pop. I mean, Celtic pop in the German selection. Who would have thunk it? So yeah, there's a chance genuinely that Germany will out Celtic the Irish this year. So because We Are One is a kind of generic, uplifting ballad. Well, not ballad, uplifting pop song. Some people have compared it to Coldplay. Um, so yeah, there's a chance that Germany could out Celtic Ireland. So we wait and see what happens. I have been told there's a good chance there was a TikTok wild card, and the person who won it is um very popular apparently, but also the person is kind of problematic. He did blackface. He's had many songs with misogynistic lyrics in it. But I also read that there will be an international jury, which is worth 50% of the vote, which is excellent. So I hope that guy doesn't win. If you follow national finals, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, there's gonna be a jury. The other 50% will be decided by the public, obviously, and that will be split between live voting and pre-voting. Although we've also been told in interviews that the pre-voting will now take up much less of a bearing compared to the live show. So yeah, let's see what happens, and maybe Germany won't be last place this year. We'll find out if that happens. With that said, let's move on to a country that definitely won't end last place, and that is Italy. Now, it says here formal confirmation is expected on the 12th of February 2023. Well, it's the 12th of February 2023, and a few minutes before I started recording this, Marco Mangoni, who won the Festival di San Remo, has confirmed that she will indeed. Oh, she, sorry, Freudian slip question mark. Anyway, yeah, Marco Mangoni has confirmed at a press conference that he will indeed do Eurovision for Italy. 10 years on after he represented Italy, I believe in Malmo. Was it Malmo or Stockholm? I don't remember. Anyways, it was with the song L'Essenziale. But this time his song is named Due Vite. So yeah, there's that. And then next, let's move on to Spain, where they had their national final, Benidorm Fest, which started in late January and ended early this month. And it resulted in Blanca Paloma winning this election with the song Ella Ella, which is in Spanish, and I dare say specifically Andalusian Spanish, because in one of the kind of key parts, I don't know if you want to call it a pre-chorus because it's a very different type of song, but yeah, I would say it's Andalusian Spanish, because there's an S dropping phenomenon in the one of the verses, I guess. So yeah, Blanca Paloma was actually already in Benidorm Fest last year, although with a song named Secreto de Agua. Um, she had a really good vocal performance, and that did not change this year. Um, but this year the song is very different. Last year was more kind of a mellow type of slightly flamenco inspired ballad, but this year she's going all out on the flamenco part. There's clapping, there's almost Arabic sounding chords and such. Um, and the story is basically about a grandmother talking to her grandchild, and Aya Aya, like I mentioned earlier, there are two songs now about lullabies. Going to Eurovision 2023, and this is the second one. Aya Aya is basically the Spanish or maybe Andalusian kind of equivalent to Aya from Latvia. Is basically another one of those lullaby sounds. So yeah, it's a very different song, and I would get why people don't like it because it's not very poppy at all. It's you can clap to it. Obviously, the song actively encourages you to clap to it, but it's not really within the traditional pop realm, so as to speak. So it's very different, and I hope that Europe appreciates it. But either way, her staging was really good. The camera angles were on point, her vocals were on point, and yeah, it's just a really, really strong proposal from Spain this year, and I'm glad that Spain are finally looking up again after quite a while of not doing particularly much. But with that said, let's move on to last year's winner, Ukraine, who selected their entry, was the first to select their entry in, I think, mid December. Um, Vidbir actually took place in a metro station, and sometimes during the show, you could actually hear trains go by. Um, but either way, the winner of Vidbir, the national final this year, um, was Tvorchi with the song Heart of Steel. Tvorchi actually was already in the national final back in 2020, but after Go A had won, they actually made this like super salty sounding Instagram story of allegedly the show being rigged or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, this year they've come back, and partially due to their local popularity, they have now won the Ukrainian selection and will now represent Ukraine. Um, I was gonna say on home soil, but they aren't on home soil, so they will represent Ukraine as the reigning winners of Eurovision. And they've also said that they will be revamping the song. They will, especially the chorus. Apparently, many people find it to be find the chorus to be kind of weak, and Tvorchi have said that they will revamp the song to strengthen the chorus and also kind of improve some other bits. And with that said, let's move on to our final country that will participate, and that is the UK. Whew. Um, a lot of rumors about the UK. Obviously, they have a track record of being very quiet with their selections. Of course, they're doing an internal selection. Um, again with tap music, and there are a lot of rumors out there. I can't even name all of them, but the biggest name so far is Rina Sawayama. Yes, Rina Sawayama, the Japanese British singer who has made a lot of noise in the UK lately and beyond. Um, there are rumors that she's possibly in the running to do Eurovision 2023 for the UK, and others have already dismissed it because like the one of the main reasons behind the theory was that basically she had a tour break between April and June, I think. Um, and then but then many people just kind of chalked that up to coincidence because she is also doing um promotion for a John Wick movie around that period, which is also gonna that movie is also gonna come out around that period. But here's why I think the theory isn't completely out the window. Right. So this requires a little bit of digging. However, I think it all makes sense. Right. So here it goes. Um, Firstly, from Rina herself, a Eurofan on TikTok named Eurovania. He's done a lot of things. I would not mention them here, but he's mainly active on TikTok, and recently he made a TikTok explaining the rumors for why Rina Sawayama could be doing Eurovision for the UK, and Rina Sawayama basically reacted to that TikTok by not saying anything but nodding slowly throughout the video, or well, nodding in the sense of kind of looking at the information, I guess. Not nodding as in yes, but she did not provide any official confirmation. And then a while later, Rina posted this video of her in a green dress spinning around, which is all fine and well, but the background music was Euphoria. Euphoria by Loreen. So that's the news from Rina herself. I'm not saying that confirms it, but what I think makes her still in the running is this news from Ben, who is I think his name is Ben Mawson, who is one of the uh, main people in control in well responsible with selecting the UK Eurovision Act for 2023. He had a few things. So first off, he posted about some generic Eurovision selection details on his Instagram, and basically, someone asked him, can you officially deny that Frankenstein by Rina Sawayama will be representing or rather, okay, I phrased it terribly, but someone basically asked, "Can you confirm that Rina Sawayama with Frankenstein will not be representing the UK at Eurovision 2023?" And Ben basically replied, "I can confirm that." But someone noticed he didn't actually respond to anything else surrounding Rina Sawayama, just specifically Frankenstein, which is one of her new singles. And then later on, Ben did an interview with the Daily Mirror, which is one of the newspapers in the UK. And they asked him about the selection process. And basically, he said a few key things. One, it's likely to be female. And two, and this is a direct quote from Ben, what defines a Brit is fairly broad. I don't know if it was broad, but you get the idea. What defines a Brit is fairly broad. We have many multicultural communities in the UK. So this could imply two things. First off, it's probably gonna be a woman, because he implied that they've been sending way too many men lately. And secondly, it could be someone who is not of English slash Scottish slash Irish slash Welsh origin. Of course, it could be a black person from, say, Jamaica or something. But it could also mean Japanese. So now I'm not putting words into his mouth here. He said what he said, and it's up to us to kind of interpret what it means. So, based on that, I would suggest that Rina Sawayama has not been selected yet, but she is still in the running. Because Ben also mentioned in the interview that there are currently 4 names left that could represent the UK at Eurovision 2023, and I suspect she is one of them. And oh yeah, and also Ben mentioned that I'm all over the place today, but Ben also mentioned that the 4 acts that are still in the running are of varying degrees of popular or well known, but you get the idea. So yeah, so that's my theory. I think that Rina Sawayama is in the running to represent the UK at Eurovision 2023, but she has not been confirmed yet. And I suspect that that Euphoria thing, and also the earlier nodding at the Furies TikTok, I think those were kind of her attempts to inadvertently drive up support for this to happen. But I don't know, right? Obviously she can't just say, "Oh, I'm in the running to represent the UK." but I suspect this is kind of her inadvertent way of saying that she is in the running and people should give her little unofficial campaign a little bit of support. So that's my theory about Rina Sawayama and Eurovision 2023, and that is pretty much it. Now, obviously, there's a few more things here, and I also talk about the pre-parties and such um, on my blog post. But yeah, for what we know so far, that is kind of it. And I talk about pre-parties. I also like to keep a running update on when the next Eurovision song will be, and so far, barring any changes, I'm thinking it's gonna be Lithuania, because like I said earlier, they're having their national final next Saturday, and yeah, so I also kind of want to talk about the art here real quick. So you can see a lot of hearts here. The yellow and the light blue represent Ukraine, while the dark blue and the pinkish red kind of represent the UK. Um, and of course, you can also read this pinkish red as Kalush's bucket hat, which is pink, of course. But yeah, I think the theme art is actually pretty nice. United by Music is again a pretty generic slogan, but in this case, I think it fits, and it certainly works for a situation like we are right now. So before I end the video, I think I want to do a quick little qualifier prediction just for fun. For the first semifinal, uh, going through for sure. Czech Republic, Finland, Israel, Sweden, Norway. Actually, I need to keep a count. So if you're just here for information, you can just close the video. But I want to do a little qualifier prediction just for fun. So, who's gonna qualify? Czech Republic, Finland, Israel, Sweden, Serbia, Norway, Moldova, because they know how to stage their stuff. They know how to stage their stuff. Portugal, I think Festival de Canção is pretty strong this year. I think I already talked about Serbia, and then probably Azerbaijan, and then after that, I would say either Netherlands or Switzerland, right? So, unfortunately, there's not going to be a lot in the first half that will qualify. Although I would keep an eye out on Latvia, not just because I like the song, but because if they place it late enough, I think it could stick around enough in people's minds. But I don't know for sure. All I know is that Croatia are way too polarizing to qualify, I think. And also too weird, frankly. Ireland is too bland to qualify. Malta, I haven't listened, but I mean, it's in the first half. I doubt many people remember it from the descriptions that I've read. Um, and the vibes surrounding the Netherlands are just not right. I'm sorry. So I do think they still have a chance, but I think the last qualifier is either between Netherlands and Switzerland. Otherwise, we'll have Sweden, Moldova, Israel, Finland, Czech Republic, Azerbaijan, Serbia, Portugal, and Norway. So oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that the allocation draw also gave us the voting semifinals for the Big Five plus Ukraine. And in this semi, Italy can vote, and Alessandra, as I mentioned before, she is from Italy, so we know where the 12 points are going. So yeah, with that said, let's move on to semifinal 2, which I think is probably a lot harder to call in terms of qualification. But I think right, let's see. We'll have Armenia, we'll have Estonia, we'll have Georgia. I'm having high hopes for them, honestly. Lithuania, and honestly, that's kind of it for like solid qualify. Oh yeah, and Slovenia, obviously. So those 5 are really the only like solid qualifiers I can see. Um, and then after that, gosh, I really don't know. I would put Romania, Australia, uh, Austria, um, Poland, and San Marino. So that's my guess. I really do think neither Cyprus nor Greece are gonna qualify. Nor Denmark, nor Belgium, um, nor Iceland. Really, if the national finals is as weak as I've been told. So yeah, that's kind of my um qualifier prediction, I suppose. So yeah, with that said, that's the end of the video. Like this video if you enjoyed my commentary. Subscribe to not miss the next episode of what we know so far, as well as my review and preview series. And I'll see you next time.